The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Make sure y'all sign my petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. You can find the change.org link in my Instagram bio. GradyGrant716 lays out exactly why you should be removed from the platform. Now, over in so there had been a lot of pressure put on Republican lawmakers to do something about gun control after the mass shootings that just took place this past weekend in El Paso, Texas, and in Dayton, Ohio, killing a total of 32 people, right? So a lot of people were banging on Mitch McConnell's door, figuratively and literally, which I'll break down in a second, to do something about it. They wanted him to actually pull Congress members back from recess to convene about the issue. He said on a Kentucky radio station that he wasn't going to do that. Him and Trump had already been conjuring up some laws to make, including, expanding background checks and even coming up with a red flag law that allow a court-ordered confiscation of weapons of people who they deem a threat. Now, my people, whenever these laws are set in place, we still live in a racist society, so who bears the brunt of that. I mean, so some of y'all is like, yo, this is really what y'all was calling for? Now, keep this in mind as Ohio Congressmember Tim Ryan and the Moms Demand Action Group, they actually just marched 400 miles over to Mitch McConnell's Kentucky home in Louisville to actually demand some action. Green Wall graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Make sure y'all sign my petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in my Instagram bio. GradyGrant716 lays out exactly with irrefutable evidence why you should be kicked off of that platform. It spells it out for you, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can use it in your debates and all of that. He's a piece of shit with that platform, you know what I mean? At least have him do it in public so he could be held accountable and people could, with a right mind, can address him on some of this shit. Now, he's incited violence against immigrants, there's no doubt about that, and that led to possibly the mass shooting that happened in El Paso, Texas this past weekend, where at least 22 people were killed. So Trump and Melania then go to El Paso, and it just seemed like a straight political campaign. Like, he goes there to visit, and none of the 8 survivors that would be still being treated at the center wanted to even see him. But a family from Jason and Andre Ronchando, who actually died in the shooting or whatever, had while shielding their baby, who ended up getting grazed by a bullet or whatever, these relatives brought the baby to the center, and then they're over there taking pictures with the baby and all of that, running wild and all that. Mind you, the baby missing fingers and everything, grazed by a bullet. It's just seems so apathetic, Green Wall graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report. So over in Springfield, Missouri, actually, there was a 20-year-old white man that actually suited up in body armor, took 2 loaded guns and 100 bullets, and went to a Walmart in Springfield, Missouri, pushes a shopping cart around, and films himself on his cell phone. Obviously trying to get a reaction out of the people, and the people went crazy. You know what I'm saying? Of course you panicking. White men are the fucking biggest terror threat in the country. Let's keep it in a stack. So I don't know what was trying to be proved there or what research was being done, but it basically pushed the manager of that Walmart to actually pull the fire alarm, and then police ended up coming, or the manager calls the police. Meanwhile, an off-duty officer actually detained the man at gunpoint. Green Wall graduation. New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Make sure y'all sign my petition too. Get Donald Trump off Twitter, man. We must, it's imperative, yo. The dude has incited all types of violence. He's put us, U.S. troops, people abroad in danger, whole economies, man. You can find the change.org link in my Instagram bio. GradyGrant716 lays out exactly what I'm talking about now. Over in Wayne County, Ohio, specifically in the town of Sterling, which is south of Cleveland, there was actually, local police and the FBI actually investigating this explosion that basically destroyed this entire home. And it was a home to an interracial couple, and they're investigating it as a hate crime because they found racist graffiti and a swastika being painted on some of the stuff there at the scene of the crime. So if you in Wayne County, Ohio, man, stay woke, especially if you got a little jungle fever. Green Wall graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Make sure y'all sign my petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in my Instagram bio, GradyGrant716. Now, over in Louisiana, actually, at the Pine Prairie ICE Processing Center, ICE being Immigration and Customs Enforcement, there was actually a hunger strike taken on by 100 immigrants, and as a result, They were met with tear gas, rubber bullets, getting beat the fuck up, and put in solitary confinement. This happened just one day after another hunger strike and another immigrant detention center in Louisiana that was taken on by 30 immigrants, and they were met with, like, you know, a lot of pepper spray and, you know, hostility or whatever. And this is important. First off, it was reported on by BuzzFeed News and all of that, but they showed pictures of these people being injured. Now, keep in mind, pardon me, that ICE had actually said that no one was injured in these situations. Motherfuckers showing pictures of them getting hit up with rubber bullets and all of that, whatever. So, you know, they definitely lying. Greenwald graduate. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. I told y'all about that big immigration sweep that took place the other day. It was actually the largest immigration sweep that has ever taken place in U.S. history, with them detaining 680 people. Well, it turns out that about 300 people were actually released, you know, mostly Latino workers or whatever. That means that 380 of them weren't released, you know what I'm saying? If it is truly 300 or whatever. These are sweeps that happen on, like, the first day of school. So kids are going to school and then coming back home to find their doors locked, with, you know, their parents nowhere in sight, or getting left at school, the parents not even coming to pick them up. Like, this is traumatic, you know what I'm saying? So don't, if you saw that headline that showed that it was 300 people released, like, don't get caught up in the hype and think that this shit is okay. It is not okay. There is nothing okay about that, you know what I'm saying? They tried to say that they gave people time to, like, you know, set up the child care scenarios or whatever, but that's out of pocket. Greenwald graduate. World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Sign my petition, get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in my Instagram bio, GradyGrant716. Now, rest in peace to Jimmy Al-Dowd. This is a Iraqi national, a diabetic. He lived in a 41-year-old man that lived in Detroit, Michigan. But 2 months ago, he was actually deported to Iraq, even though he's been in the U.S. since he was 6 months old. I mean, the dude was originally born in Greece, actually, or whatever. But yeah, so he's Iraqi. But part of Trump's crackdown had ICE agents come and actually deport him. Now, he put out a Facebook post while he was out there in Baghdad saying that, you know, he pleaded with ICE agents not to deport him. He didn't know anybody there, and then he was out there just, like, sleeping on the streets, homeless. The dude is a diabetic or whatever, so he's supposed to take insulin shots, wasn't taking his shots, he's out there throwing up on the streets or whatever. So he, you know what I mean, he went out in a very tragic way. And these ICE agents is really acting wild. Keep in mind that they even tried to go to a Brooklyn homeless shelter where the director actually had to deny them entry because they didn't even have any warrants. But they just out here just trying to grab anybody that they can and give them the fuck out of there and say they doing something, meeting quotas and shit. You know what I mean? Greenwald grad. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Make sure y'all sign my petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter, man. This dude is a danger to us, U.S. troops, people abroad, whole economies, all of that, man. All from behind that Twitter account where he's able to say shit without any accountability. We can't have that from the highest position in the land, man. Get him the fuck out of there. Find the change.org link in my Instagram bio, GradyGrant716. Now, over in Hong Kong, which people still think is a part of China, but they actually have a one country, two system setup over there, but that had been jeopardized when Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam actually tried to impose this extradition policy where if you actually catch a case in Hong Kong, you're gonna get shipped out to China, and people, and you know, so there's been all types of protesting against that. You're talking about millions, sometimes 2 million people in the street. But this weekend it's actually going down at the airport. They, you know, occupying airports to kick off this pro-democracy protest. They want Carrie Lam out of there. They want and they want more investigation into the violence that's been going against the demonstrators, as well as a change to get rid of that bill. You know what I mean? Greenwald grad. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report. So the Guardian actually released a report that showed that Monsanto, you know, the agribusiness giant that actually has been getting the fuck sued out of them for having that weed killer Roundup that actually causes cancer and lymphoma and all that shit, right? You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, they've been getting sued for this shit now, and there's probably more to come. But it's this report that the Guardian put out actually shows that they actually had what they called a fusion center, but a place where they were specifically targeting and conducting smear campaigns against any journalists or activists that were speaking negatively about their weed killer. I mean, they had documents showing that they collected intelligence on, singer and songwriter Neil Young, that they paid Google to, have search results show like things that are unfavorable about their critics. And we're even caught out there, they was just caught out there doing a lot of covert shit, you know what I'm saying? Even tried to have like one editor fire their reporter, a reporter that had reported negatively against him. So, shit is real, man. They looking real dirty out here. Greenwald grad. We'll go to Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report. Make sure y'all sign my petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in my Instagram bio, GradyGrant716. Now, shout out to Glenn Greenwald. This is somebody that's actually frontlined on the side of truth and justice for a while via journalism. I mean, he actually broke that Ed Snowden story when he was over at The Guardian. But now he runs The Intercept. And, this Brazilian man was actually bringing up how the corruption of Brazil's government in a story that showed how like the former president that was more on the left side of the aisle as far as politics was actually, there was a conspiracy that actually pretty much keeps him from running for president that has him in jail now. The current president, Jair Bolsonaro, actually talked about how he was going to launch an investigation against him because of this or whatever, but the Supreme Court of Brazil actually ruled that would be constitute like an unambiguous act of censorship. So they basically ruled against it. So, you know what I mean? And showed that there's support for him. Greenwald graduation. Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Yeah, it got a little dark out, you feel me? Like, I know I'm looking a little oily, you know what I'm saying? But fuck it, it got a little sexy thing going on. You know what I mean? Ladies, you feeling that? You really want to get at a nigga? Make sure you sign that petition. Get Donald Trump on Twitter. You can find the change.org link in my Instagram bio. GradyGrant716 lays out why you should be removed from the platform. Violating Twitter policies, putting us, U.S. troops, people abroad in danger. Come on now. Now check this out though. While he's doing that fuck shit, you have Chelsea Manning. Now this is a she, a transgender or whatever, who actually used to be Bradley Manning, was a U.S. Army whistleblower that actually had supplied thousands of leaked documents from the State Department and from the Pentagon to WikiLeaks back in the day or whatever. And, he was jailed for a lot of years, changed his sex while he was jailed, came out, and now he's being, basically, they're trying to get him to testify against WikiLeaks and he refuses to, and the judge actually just refused to get rid of his penalty that he's being charged for refusing to testify. It used to be $500 a day, now it's up to $1,000 a day. Greenwald graduate. Streets report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Make sure y'all sign my petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. You can find the change.org link in my Instagram bio, GradyGrant716. Now, speaking of Trump though, he actually has a donor that you know what I mean, that is pretty much in the limelight right now because customers from the high-end fitness chains Soul Cycle and Equinox are actually calling for a boycott against the majority shareholder of these fitness chains, Stephen Ross, who's actually the owner of the Miami Dolphins. They're boycotting this because Stephen Ross is actually hosting an event in the Hamptons tonight that's actually supposed to be a campaign fundraiser for Donald Trump, where he's promising people a photo with Donald Trump for 100 bands and an actual roundtable discussion with Trump for $250,000. Now this is like, these are some exorbitant prices, like, and we talking like, so when it comes down to that campaign that he had initially, this is probably business as usual, you dig? And Kenny Stills, wide receiver for the Dolphins, actually called him out on Twitter because Stephen Ross actually runs Rise, which is a non-profit aimed at ending racial discrimination. How you gonna have that and then open the doors for Trump? The hypocrisy that I guess doesn't end with Trump, you know what I mean? Greenwald grad. Streets report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this BFN report, man. Make sure y'all sign my petition. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in my Instagram bio, GradyGrant716. Now, shout out to the California governor who actually pardoned 7 individuals who have been incarcerated but had changed their way of life after years in prison. Now, most of these people were incarcerated for mostly nonviolent offenses or whatever, but among those that were actually pardoned was Susan Burton. Shout out to her. She created a new way of life, which is a nonprofit aimed at providing services and housing for women who were formerly incarcerated. This is somebody who, and she put out a book too called Becoming Miss Burton. It actually shows how, she came from, a troubled past, a lot of, abuse in her childhood, whatever, to battling with drug addiction. So, and she pointed out how, it doesn't make sense that, people could pay, you end up in California paying 67 bands to actually keep someone incarcerated. It could be in the hundreds of thousands if they, depending on how healthy they are. But then they come out and there's no services. So, shout out to the California government for making a stand. Greenwald graduate.